Meditation and mindfulness. I bet you saw that one coming. Of course, it's perhaps a stereotypical self-care practice. Um, or maybe it's not. I don't want to make any assumptions. But meditation and mindfulness, you probably heard of it. Um, it might mean something specific to you. But actually, what I found is that it can mean different things to lots of different people. So I'm actually going to go back to the breath on this one. There's a big reason why I start with the breath in video number 1. I told you we can go deep with it, and still we're just scratching the surface. But meditation, there's different types of meditative practices. Some might link it to religion or spirituality. It doesn't have to. Yes, it's a huge part of Buddhism, for example. But if you want to take a purely scientific angle to whether meditation is good or not, well, you'll find lots of scientific evidence to suggest it's awesome to do, and that it's really something everybody ought to be doing for their own sake and everybody else in the world, really. Because it's a bit like, and I take this analogy from the first meditation teacher that I had. For them, meditating in the morning was pretty much the same as brushing their teeth. Like, you wouldn't go out without meditating in the morning in the same way that they wouldn't go out without brushing their teeth in the morning. It's like a level of hygiene, and that actually really resonated with me. So meditative practices, there's, gosh, all sorts. I want to just keep it simple here. I will touch on something called the breathing meditation so that you can watch this video and actually do it if you've never done meditation before. It's simple in many ways. And then I'm going to touch on my take on mindfulness and the link between meditation and mindfulness. So if you want to do a very brief meditation right now, usually you do it seated, but you don't have to sit. It's just, if you're laying down, the risk is that you fall asleep, which is somewhat counterproductive for meditative practice. But if your aim is to go to sleep, then awesome, why not? So usually if we're sitting, you can plant your feet straight on the floor, keep your back nice and straight so you can breathe naturally. Sort of neck long, chin slightly tucked in, usually closing the eyes, usually breathing through the nose if you can do that, and tongue up to the roof of the mouth. And this breathing meditation, you literally just put your attention to your breath. That could be at your nostrils, your chest, your belly, and just breathe naturally. Just do your best to keep your focus on the breath. You don't have to make anything in particular happen. You don't have to breathe in any particular way. The purpose of this is to focus your mind and access the present moment. So back to some of the things that I talked about in the first video. Because when I say focusing our minds, it's because usually for most of us, we have this monkey mind that's sort of dotting all over the place. It's like a friggin' maniac, just in the past, in the future, thinking about, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or what am I going to do for dinner, and oh, I have to have that conversation, or all sorts of stuff. It's quite rare for most people that our mind is still and in the present moment. So this is what meditation can help us do. Because in the present moment, There isn't the worries of the past. There isn't the fears and anxieties of the future. So the present moment is where you can find perhaps a sense of peace. And that's going to allow me to segue into mindfulness. So mindfulness, to me, it's really about being present. Not just when you're sitting meditating, but when you're doing your dishes, when you are locking your locking your car even with your key. So because if you probably had this moment, oh, did I lock the car, or did I lock the house door? Yeah, that's a sign that you weren't mindful, you weren't present. So a lot of the times we're doing stuff and we're not really fully there. We are perhaps thinking of something else. I mean, a lot of the time when we're listening to somebody having a conversation, we're not necessarily fully there either. There's a tendency to think about what we're going to say next, etc., rather than fully actively listening. So if you've ever heard of active listening, well, to me that's a mindfulness practice. So that's that little topic. So this is really about the mind, but that link, of course, is going to affect emotions and our physical well-being as well. So as I said earlier on, if you view it a bit like brushing your teeth, I think that analogy is so great. And if that's the only thing that you take away from this, that's awesome. If you got something to share, please share it in a comment on the Facebook post that goes with it. And I hope that this finds you well. All the best.